Hi everybody, it's Elizabeth. It should be a happy Saturday morning for you guys because I'm going to try something like an actual uploading schedule. What? I'm wearing my very favorite sweater that either my friend or I found in a thrift store one time. And I didn't realize this at the time, but I was like going through my old clothes and I was like, oh, this is a nice red sweater. And I looked at it and it was like 100% cashmere. And I was like, so I'm wearing this all the time now. I thought that I would do today's video about the Goodreads challenge. Now, every year, I'm sure most of you know, Goodreads has a thing where you can set the number of books that you'd like to read in the year, and every time you mark a book as finished, then they will put it on your list. I was looking over my previous year's challenges and looking at the books that I read and realized I don't like a lot of the books that I read. It's either because I don't remember them very well because they were utterly forgettable, or they were just so bad that, oh, I remember them. The Great Zoo of China. Or they're just not good. They were kind of like fluff for my brain. Now, there's nothing wrong with fluff for the brain. There is a reason that at the end of every day when my husband comes home, we make dinner and watch Bob's Burgers. It's a fun show. I enjoy it. But it's not exactly like, oh man, I remember that episode because it changed my life. Now, I have a lot of friends who are using the Book Reads Challenge as a way for them to read more because of their job. I have a friend in publishing who reads for a living, but she doesn't read a lot of the stuff that she wants to read. Or my friends are in grad school, and there's a lot of reading in grad school. Not a whole lot of it is done for pleasure. So those people are the ones who are looking at the Goodreads challenge and saying, you know what, yeah, this will actually help me get back to my roots. And I think that that was originally what it was for me too. I remember setting it up in 2015 in particular because I had just gotten this cool reading app, not Kindle, Oyster. Oyster, I missed you, come back. But it was this cool reading app, and I was just like, you know what? This is the year I'm going to read more. And I did. And that year, I read a lot of really good stuff. But in the subsequent years, I've read a lot, but not a lot of it's been really good. So I have a few books that have been recommended to me over the years that I've started reading, and there are those books that you start reading and you're like, God, this is so good. But like every single page is good. Not just like the occasional part where you're like, oh man, let me sit down for 15 minutes and like process this. No. Every damn page has got something good on it. So every page you're like, I need to sit down for a second and just process. That pretty much means that you're never going to finish it. Well, this year is the year I'm going to try to finish it. Also, do you like my big comfy chair? I like my big comfy chair. My big comfy chair was a little bit over there, but it was kind of a pain in the butt because when friends came over, they kind of had to like adjust the comfy chair so they could watch the television. And also, like when I was filming my videos, I was sitting on the ground and it was kind of a pain. So I was like, you know what? This is my house. I'm going to rearrange things. And I did. And I'm so happy. So yeah, one of the books that I want to read this year is In Defense of History by Richard J. Evans. This is a book that I talked about in my last video, actually, that was given to me by my dad. And it is a just comprehensive view of why history is an important subject to study. I love history. I think that it is very important to study. And by reading more of these kinds of books, I hope to have a better understanding of what I should be going for when I read history other than just entertainment value. I would like to actually be a decent historian. So I am reading, my goal is to read this, and there's a few other books that I'm looking at that are in this vein, but this is the one that was talked about in one of my favorite history books, History on Trial, and I decided, you know what, if that author really likes this book, I'm gonna give it a shot. So, In Defense of History, Richard J. Evans. Okay. You know earlier how I was talking about books that like every single page is phenomenal and you have to like chill for about an hour? Yeah, this is that book for me. This is The Creators by Daniel J. Boorstin. I've been trying to read this for about 4 years, and it is an amazing comprehensive history of the creative arts throughout history. It is fan freaking tastic as far as I've gotten. And it's not just Western art either. It's also like he's touched on Japanese art, he's touched on the Islamic arts, he's touched on freaking everything so far, and I'm dying. I'm having the greatest time. But the problem is that it's like, it's a doorstopper. But I want to finish it just because it's so goddamn good, and I've been trying for 4 years. So that's one of the things I'm going to try to read this year. The last book that I'm really wanting to read, which again is a doorstopper, is The Brothers Karamazov. I honestly have no freaking clue what this is about. I honest to God do not. I know that that's probably a problem and that I should probably do a little bit more research into what I'm about to get into, but at the same time, I don't really want to. You know the amount of times that I've picked up a book just because my friend says it's good and I have no freaking clue what it's about, but then I actually really like it in the end? More times than I should probably do that. I have a lot of blind faith in my friends. So, let's read the cover to figure out what this is about. Grand themes are expounded as the characters struggle valiantly, eloquently, and sometimes stupidly with the tensions between suffering and salvation, guilt and freedom, Christ and the devil, and ultimately good and evil. This still doesn't actually tell me what this is about. Like, even a little bit. Nobody knows what this is about. So, anyway. I'm sorry. I'm sure that people who've actually read it know what it's about, but, like, really and truly, can anybody blame me for not knowing what this is about? Because every time I try to pick up like a little book like this and figure out what's going on the inside of the cover, it's basically like, this is the greatest book that's ever existed. Oh my god. And you should read it. And I'm like, okay, but I assume it's about brothers. I got that. So anyway, we're gonna give this one a shot. So I guess my goal for this year is not necessarily to read a ton of books. That's not my goal this year anymore. My goal this year is to read books that may be daunting and huge, but I know I will get something really, really edifying out of it. So those are my feelings about the Goodreads challenge, and one of the things that is going to change about this channel is it is going to be less about the books that I'm reading at the time, and there will be less wrap-ups and things that, the list of books that I've read this month, just because I really am truly going to try to focus on the little things that I have, which is not to say that those videos won't happen, they'll just happen with less frequency. But one of the things that I'm going to try to do is upload more videos about my thoughts about the process of reading itself. What do I think is a good book? What do I think is a bad book? Try to involve you guys in some conversations about these things, because I can sit here and think about what I think is good and bad till the cows come home, but that may only be what is good and bad for me. There's nothing wrong with figuring that out, but I also think that it would be a lot more interesting to kind of go about it also getting other people's opinions and see if there's any overlap or if I'm just completely off the mark in a weird little corner of the world. So that's kind of what I'm going to go for the next year in these videos. I am also going to be uploading these videos to my blog, The Protagonist's Life, along with a little very brief written part at the bottom, because if you're anything like me, you can upload videos, but I may not watch them. I may just be there to read the headlines and see what's going on. I'm a terrible person. Anyway, so I hope that y'all will stick around for that. In the meantime, tell me, are you guys doing the Goodreads challenge? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you really feel like you need to get back into reading? Are you doing it because it's just a fun thing for you to do? Are you doing it because you have a goal of, like, a very specific goal? I had a friend who wanted to read 100 books in a year. She busted her ass and then did it. So, you know what? Props to her, man. I was always a little like, I'm a little intimidated by that, honestly. So, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about the Goodreads challenge? Are you going to do it? Are you not going to do it? What are your reading goals for this year? In the meantime, I hope y'all are having a good Saturday, and I'll see you later. Bye.